All right, so we're going to kick off the new year and we're going to talk about supplements. Hello again, and welcome to another episode with Move with a Doc. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Rupa Shah, and I'm a family physician here at SSM and a health and wellness coach as well. So the objective of these short talks, although today's might be a little bit longer, is for you to move, to stretch, to get a walk in outside while you're listening to this. So feel free to do that, and I encourage you to do so. So we thought we'd kick off the new year talking about ways and how we could get more energy. I think this is probably something everybody wants, including myself, especially those of us here like in Wisconsin with the cold weather. And it's something all year long that we're all craving for, just a little bit more energy, a little bit more zip in our step, a little bit more oomph that we can have throughout the day to get all those things done that we need to. Maybe you've even made sort of a New Year's resolution to work towards better health and feel more energized this year. We all know the last few years have been really a struggle for a lot of us, and this may be the year that we sort of emerge feeling better, stronger, more energized, and just overall healthier. So this time of year, especially in Wisconsin with the dark, cloudy days, definitely can leave a lot of us with a little bit of that seasonal affective disorder and just feeling a little bit more down. That will improve as we get more sunlight. But I want to just touch on some supplements that get a lot of buzz in the press and things that you may have heard of, maybe some that you're already taking. And I just will give you kind of my take on them and what I think. So a lot of us, as I mentioned, turn to supplements to give us, like I said, a little bit of that energy back and a little bit more zip during our days. Before I get into that, I'm going to state the obvious here, which you guys probably already have an inkling about, which is that none of these supplements are actually going to be the magic cure for you. They can be part of a good routine and regimen, but there's a few key things that you need to have before we even start thinking about adding different supplements to give you what you're looking for. And those are, which we've talked about last year, quite a bit about all of these, but making sure to get enough sleep. You know this. Make sure to get some exercise a few times a week. That definitely is going to give you a little extra energy, increased muscle mass, and all those things that we need to feel healthier. Cutting out sugar and processed foods from your diet. If you continue to eat that way and then look to supplements, that's probably not going to work out well. And then trying to get outside and get that sunlight every day. This is really going to help reset your circadian rhythms, get you on track. Super important, like I just mentioned, with our shorter days right now here in Wisconsin. So now let's get into it with that little caveat out of the way. Lots of you are probably taking some supplements. I mean, who truly doesn't want better health and to feel better? Add on top of that, how great a job the supplement industry does to market these supplements to us and marketing all their claims of increased vitality and energy and weight loss. It all sounds too good to be true, and it probably is. So I'll just point out a few quick things. Be cautious when you hear those marketing claims. Those are based on observational studies. These are not the gold standard in our industry in the field of medicine, which are what we call randomized double-blind clinical studies. The medications that are approved by the FDA that you take have undergone strict and stringent randomized controlled clinical trials, and then can say this medication will help with this. The supplement industry does not need to do that. So these are all just claims that they make. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. Some observational studies can be good, and it means it's worked for some people. They're just not randomized controlled clinical trials. Again, like I mentioned, remember, supplements are not regulated by the FDA, so they do not have to prove their efficacy, their purity, their potency, or their safety. So when you take supplements, it's a bit of a gamble. So just a few things to keep in mind, not to turn people away from those, but really just do your research before you pick a supplement that you may want to take. Okay, so we'll get into it. So my first and favorite that I get asked all the time is, Dr. Shah, what do you think of a multivitamin? So how many of you, take a multivitamin daily? I'm sure plenty of you, but despite kind of their iconic status of like everyone should take a multivitamin, there's really no evidence that multivitamins enhance our health and well-being or even improve our overall prevention at disease and things like that. So personally, I do not take one for this reason. I don't feel that there's a great benefit. And again, if you take too much of a particular vitamin, most often you're going to urinate out the excess. So there's really no benefit to you. Kind of a common a statement you will hear is that a multivitamin is really just a way to get expensive urine, meaning that your body's only going to keep what it needs and the rest you'll just sort of excrete out through your kidneys. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take one if you think it does help you, but there's really been no scientific studies to show that they are beneficial to the majority of people. The one area in which they may be helpful is that is a good way to get a little bit of vitamin D, but typically the amounts are quite low, about 400 IUs or international units in a typical multivitamin, which is a lot less than the recommended dose of vitamin D, which is about 1,000 to 2,000 units per day, depending on your needs. So I'll give it sort of a thumbs like sideway on the multivitamin. If it makes you feel better, take one. My husband loves his multivitamin, so he takes one every night. I just try to eat a sort of more well-balanced diet and hope that I'm getting the nutrients that I need. Okay, the second one I want to talk about, and this one I do love and can totally get behind, vitamin D. It is going to give you more energy and it's going to make you feel better. We need vitamin D again to absorb that calcium from our intestines, and that's why it's so important for healthy bones. And it is hard to get this vitamin through our diet. Most people are not going to get enough vitamin D through their diet. Oily fish, fortified dairy products are usually the most important sources where you'll get vitamin D. So supplements make sense for most adults and children, actually. It's also the time of year, this time of year in the winter, that I start seeing the majority, I shouldn't say majority, but I do see quite frequently patients with very low levels, which just reinforces the fact that many people in this climate do have low vitamin D levels, especially if you're like me and have darker skin. So number one, talk to your physician and get your vitamin D levels checked. If you're feeling low energy, achy, or having that deep kind of bone aching, I have had this and personally have very low vitamin D levels. So I take a very high dose, but I do it annually based on my levels and talk to my physician about it. Typically, again, most people need 1,000 to 2,000 international units daily, but don't just jump to taking more. This is a fat soluble vitamin. That means you can overdose or get to toxic levels on it. What does toxicity look like? We don't really know. I've seen people with high vitamin D levels, probably not too much in the way of symptoms, but it's just not a great idea. So this is a fat soluble vitamin. Before you start taking higher doses of it, talk to your physician and get your levels checked. It's a vitamin D level that your physician can put in for a lab test, and quick and easy, quick thing to check. And again, do it in the wintertime when your levels might be at their lowest. Okay, moving on. Number 3, antioxidants. So things like vitamin E, vitamin A, beta carotene, vitamin C, these were sort of the favorites in the 1980s when I was sort of growing up, early 90s. Everyone should take an antioxidant. It's going to give you energy. It's going to prevent cancer. But again, as more and more studies came out, especially what I was talking about earlier, those randomized clinical trials, they really didn't show that they had benefit against heart disease, cancer, or other illnesses. In fact, some of these in really high doses, like vitamin A, caused increased hip fractures. Beta carotene potentially increased risk of lung cancer in smokers. So all these claims of like these antioxidants are going to make you feel better, ward off cancer, give you energy, didn't really pan out. So you really need to be cautious if you're taking these. They're not truly recommended anymore. Having said that, the one that I do think could be important out of this group is vitamin C. Vitamin C has been shown to boost immune function, and we are currently in viral season. So this might be a good one if you're not getting vitamin C through your diet. Is this one that I use? I do in certain situations, and I'll tell you when I use it. I use the over-the-counter Emergency. It's got, I think, about 1,000 micrograms of vitamin C, and I use it before I travel on an airplane or a couple of days before I'm about to travel. And I also use it at the very first sign of any viral illness. Like if I get a scratchy throat, a little bit of the sniffles, I start taking it right away. Anecdotally, I think it helps me. Do you need to take it every day? That's up to you. Currently, we are kind of in our peak viral season. So it could be helpful, and it's getting a lot of buzz lately with our current pandemic as well. But the best source of all your antioxidants, as you know, and you probably guessed it, is eating your colorful fruits and vegetables. All those different colors of the rainbow have those antioxidants built into the skin of your vegetables and fruits. And I always sort of feel there's no substitute for the real thing. So be cautious with taking other antioxidants, but vitamin C can be useful. Okay, so now let's move into the B vitamins. I do get asked this one quite a bit from my patients, especially people that are looking to improve their nail growth, their hair growth, prevent hair loss, just overall energy and vitality. So what do the B vitamins do? First of all, they help transform all the food that you eat. They're involved in converting that into energy so that your cells can use it. Interestingly, they're only found in animal-based foods. So strict vegetarians will be low in certain B vitamins, and those folks do need to take supplements. There's a few other groups that may benefit from B vitamins. Older folks who don't make enough stomach acid, that you need to break down and kind of liberate that B12 so it can be absorbed into your intestines. Those who have other GI disorders like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, celiac, that can also interfere with your body's ability to absorb the B12 that you're eating. B12 has been added by the government years ago into fortified grain products and cereals for that reason. And that means, basically if you eat like a bowl of cereal, breakfast cereal, it's usually fortified with B vitamins and B12. So you're going to get your daily dose that way. But if you have sort of an erratic diet or some of those other conditions I just stated above, you're vegan, you've got some GI disorders, you could be low on your B12, and that is going to make you feel sluggish. It might make you feel tired. You may get some numbness and tingling in your fingers, your toes. Those are some of the symptoms. But fortunately, there's a blood test for this. So you can talk to your physician if you're concerned about your B12 level. Usually we'll couple it with a B12 or a B12 and a folate level together, and then you can determine whether or not you need to take a supplement. The one thing I have seen in folks over this past year for sure is extraordinarily high levels of B12. So again, there's a lot of folks out there taking oral B12, which comes in about 1,000 microgram supplement, who don't need it. And I have to sort of encourage them to stop taking their supplement. So just check with your physician before you start taking that vitamin. I would only take it if you're low on your B12. It comes in an oral form and in an injectable form as well. The injectable form is usually given once monthly for a couple of months to get your levels elevated, and then you would transition to the oral form. So if you're low, yes, it will definitely help give you a little bit of energy and just make you feel better overall. Moving on, this is a new one, and I was sort of curious about this one, and some of you may have heard of it. It's called Ashwagandha. It's kind of a relative, like I said, newcomer to the stage, getting a lot of buzz lately because of the virus that's been circulating. It's a medicinal herb that was used sort of in traditional Ayurvedic Indian medicine, and it's thought to increase the energy by enhancing your body's resilience to physical and mental stress. So it's sort of recommended if you're in a chronically stressed situation. And when you're chronically stressed, your adrenal glands that secrete cortisol are sort of always in this like elevated state, secreting a little excess cortisol. So ashwagandha has some associations to show that it could be helpful. So it's been shown to possibly be helpful with like mental fatigue and stress, and then can sort of also help folks that exercise a lot and that fatigue you get after exercise. It seems to have a low risk of side effects. And so I think this could be a useful one to try if you have a lot of chronic stress in your life and you want to see if this could make a little bit of a difference for you. Personally, I am intrigued by this one, and I'm hoping to try it in the new year when I can really track my symptoms and see if it's helping me. I took it for a bit last year as part of a supplement, and to be honest, I didn't really notice any great improvement in my energy or stress levels. But again, it was part of a different supplement, and I don't recall the amounts that were in it. But when I do plan to try it again, I'm going to take it as its own supplement, so I can just monitor the effects of that on my health. Okay, moving on to iron supplements. So without adequate levels of iron, your red blood cells cannot carry adequate oxygen to the body's tissue, and it will leave you feeling fatigued, tired, out of breath. Again, if you have an iron poor diet, this could be really helpful. The richest sources of iron include meat and seafood. So again, for this reason, the iron requirements for patients who are vegetarian, vegan, is going to be about almost 2 times as higher for folks that are not. If you're losing blood in any form, heavy periods, any internal bleeding, this will deplete your iron levels and can be useful. And if you're pregnant, of course, you require higher iron levels. So this again is another level that your physician can check, your hemoglobin level. It's usually part of your CBC, your complete blood cell count panel. So it'll be part of that, your hemoglobin and hematocrit. What won't be part of that is a ferritin level. And that is important because a lot of folks, myself included, can have a normal hemoglobin level. So you're not anemic, but a ferritin level is our iron stores. And being low on that means you are iron deficient and can make you feel tired and low on energy and sluggish. So get your hemoglobin levels checked. And if you're normal on that, it still might be worth getting your ferritin levels checked by your physician as well if you're concerned, because a lot of folks, particularly women, can be low on their ferritin, and boosting that up through an iron supplement can be helpful and really can make a difference in your levels. We all have to be careful with iron, so taking this if you're not anemic, or even if you are and you have to take it, it can have side effects, GI side effects, cramping, bloating, and then constipation. That's the big one with iron, and that will be terrible. So a lot of times when we take an iron supplement, you should take a stool softener with it and make sure you have plenty of fiber in your diet. So, okay. I've lost track of my counting, but melatonin. So melatonin is a natural hormone that we know plays a role in sleep and our circadian rhythms. It's sort of time released. It rises in the evening and it helps us fall asleep. We know that this can help with the melatonin supplement. We know it can help with insomnia. And we know that chronic insomnia can make you feel tired. So this one I like. I personally don't need to use it. I don't have issues with insomnia, but I do recommend it to my patients who have insomnia because this will help you have more energy. If you have poor quality sleep, have trouble falling asleep, I definitely would suggest trying melatonin. It has, it's been shown to be a fairly safe supplement without a lot of side effects. So I would say go ahead and try this one if you're struggling, and get on a really good sleep cycle. That will do wonders for your overall health. I wanted to quick mention, I get this one a lot, questions on CoQ10. This is a coenzyme that's made naturally in our body. It's a nutrient that helps your body's cells that kind of produce energy more efficiently. So all of our cells in our body contain CoQ10. but the heart, the kidneys, and the liver have the highest levels. Again, CoQ10 helps our bodies make energy and protects them from what we call that oxidative stress. Our CoQ10 levels do decline with age, and they are low in certain patients, like patients with heart failure, heart disease, certain cancers, type 2 diabetes, and patients that take statins. So a lot of times we will recommend CoQ10 with your statin to sort of counteract those effects and stabilize those levels. If you have normal CoQ10 levels, I don't think this is going to help increase your energy level any. But if you fall into any of those categories with some heart-related issues, you take a statin, it might be worthwhile to take it and see if it helps you. I usually recommend taking a supplement for a month or two and really paying attention to see if you notice benefit from it. Otherwise, I tell folks, don't waste your money on it. And then the last supplement I want to talk about, which maybe many of you don't think about as a supplement, but is fiber. So most of us just kind of associate this with constipation, like you should take it if you have constipation, but truly a high intake of fiber has a lot of potential benefits for your health, ranging from heart disease to obesity. We know that you can get a lot of fiber through whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, but it's hard to get a lot of fiber in your diet. So a lot of folks might benefit from taking a fiber supplement in their diet. So you can consider supplemental fiber, psyllium. Psyllium we know can also lower your cholesterol levels, so it could play double duty for those of you who have high cholesterol. I think a fiber supplement will make you feel more energetic in the sense that you'll feel less bloated, less constipated, less full when you eat. And I think that can just make you feel just overall healthier and more energized throughout the day and just not feeling so heavy all the time. So I'm a proponent of fiber. I try and get a fiber supplement when I can, but sometimes you can forget. So I want to end the talk. I know we're kind of getting a little late on time here, but I do want to just talk about protein shakes, because this is another thing that a lot of people turn to this time of year to get some added energy and potentially lose weight or maintain their weight. So I want to talk about some protein shakes, but I don't want to endorse any particular types of protein shake, but I just want to speak generally to the benefits of protein shakes or protein smoothies, or however you would like to think about it. So I'll go back to what I initially started this talk. So first of all, it should be part of a very well-balanced whole food diet. I am not talking about a protein shake that's substituting as a meal replacement. In fact, I never think that strategy works for folks in the long term to maintain or to lose weight. So I'm talking about it as in a way as almost like a supplement, which is today's talk. So there's a lot of protein shakes out there. There's a lot of groups that will market their particular protein shake to you. And many of those are aimed at weight loss. And I want you to be careful because what I found through the years with my patients taking a lot of these is that many of them are pretty outrightly, will just state that this one is for weight loss, and they have ingredients in them that have a weight loss, an appetite suppressant in them. Typically, this is going to be in the form of a stimulant or caffeine, okay? You need to avoid these. This is not what you want. I've definitely seen plenty of side effects in folks that take these. I've seen high blood pressure. All of a sudden, patients become tachycardic with a high heart rate. They develop anxiety because their heart is racing. And I've seen palpitations and people landing up in the ER because of these symptoms. So I'm not a proponent of protein shakes in the sense of the ones that contain any sort of stimulant, caffeine, appetite suppressant. What I want to talk about quick is homemade sort of protein smoothies or shakes. And this would include some sort of plant-based protein powder, which is low in sugar without as many additives or artificial colors, sweeteners that you can find. And it will likely have a certain amount of other vitamins. We just talked about many of these. It's going to have some vitamin D, some B, in it. So you're going to get a little bit of that. And then you can add your greens. So now you're getting your antioxidants, your kale, your spinach, and then you can throw in your fiber, your chia, your hemp, your flax. All of these are a great source of fiber, which we talked about can be a really great supplement for energy. And then you can add your base, some type of yogurt, milk, almond, oat milk, whatever you like. You can add half of like a frozen banana. We've talked about this before, but I love kind of that gut microbiome. And then the banana is a great probiotic, so a great substrate for those bacteria in your gut. And if you want, you can add a little bit of almond butter or something for a little bit of natural sweetness and a little bit more protein for you. So I think personally, this is a great way to start your day. You're not getting the added carbs and sugars, so you will feel energized and refreshed throughout the day. You'll have a healthy gut biome due to the fiber, the probiotics, and it'll leave you fuller for longer, therefore less likely to snack on things as your blood sugars will fluctuate throughout the day. So personally, I love these. Am I great about doing them in the winter? No, I wish I could. But summer, I definitely do these all summer long, and I typically do feel much better, feel more balanced. I feel lighter, more energetic. So something to think about if you're looking for ways to get more energy this year. So quick recap. I know we're got about 5 minutes left. Do we all need multivitamins or supplements? The answer is no. No pill is obviously going to give you the energy or the boost that you need without it being part of a healthy lifestyle. You may need supplements if you fall into certain categories. We talked about this. If you're vegan, if you have chronic GI disorders, if you're older, you have heavy periods, you're pregnant, there are categories of folks that are going to benefit from supplements. But talk to your doctor, because for the majority of the things we just talked about that can make you feel low and sluggish, there's a blood test, your B12, your folate, I didn't mention it, but we've talked about this before, your thyroid, your TSH, your CBC, which will have your hemoglobin in it. Remember, ask for your ferritin level if you're concerned, and then get your vitamin D levels checked. If you're low in any of those, take a supplement and then have that monitored periodically by your physician. Don't just take it without asking or without having any follow-up on those levels. Vitamin D, we typically recommend about 1,000 to 2,000 units daily. We do live in Wisconsin, and again, seeing lots of low vitamin D this time of year, especially, even I meant to say in my male patients as well as female patients. So, and especially important if you're darker skin tone. And then think about something to start your day off right. A morning protein smoothie can be a great way to do that. Again, protein powder, fiber, antioxidants, and probiotics all in one. And then don't forget kind of the four most important things for just feeling more energized here in 2022, which is self-care and de-stressing, lowering those cortisol levels, plenty of sleep, it's always good for you, sunshine, get that vitamin D naturally, some fresh air, and then make sure you're exercising. That will go much further than taking some pills. So those are my thoughts. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at rupa.shah@ssmhealth.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, thank you.